What's going on, everybody? Welcome to week 9 of Corner Pub Pregame Show. I'm your host, Sean Selby here. I got to do things a little differently for some reason. Couldn't get on the original feed. But anyway, bringing you the best bets and fantasy advice for week 9 of the NFL. We're almost halfway there. We are halfway there now, technically. This is crazy. It's been flying by. This season is completely as it does every NFL season. You blink and it's almost over. It's crazy. But this is where things become interesting. Teams are starting to try to solidify their spots for playoff positions, and the good teams are starting to separate themselves from the bad teams. You're starting to find out who's real, who's not. So today we're gonna go through Week 9's matchups, and it's a good slate today for sure for in the NFL. And of course, I will give you 3 picks that I call the Selby Sizzlers, 3 of my best bets of the day. So let's start it off by starting with the Cowboys and the Falcons. Oh, and by the way, every bet today that this show is brought to you by WinDailySports.com. Use promo code HEAT for all your betting needs, and that'll give you your Sunday special discount of the day. So, without further ado, Dallas and the Falcons start off the slate for Sunday, and it's a 3-point favorite for Atlanta, which is a little bit of a thank you, nice jersey, thank you, man. It's a tough matchup there for Dallas, I think, taking on an Atlanta team that, like I just said, teams are starting to find themselves a little bit. And I think Atlanta is one of those teams. They're starting to get into a rhythm here. And Dallas, on the other hand, Dallas was one of my best bets last week. I thought they could stick with the 49ers, a beat-up 49ers team on Sunday Night Football. I was wrong. That team stinks. They stink. So I don't see them hanging with the Falcons today. I think the Falcons win this game. The over-under is 52, so they're expecting a shootout. Dallas is without Ezekiel Elliott. Not that it means a lot. Disciplinary reasons, he's been told to stay home. Apparently it's something that's been brewing within weeks there. Tevion Diggs went off at a reporter last week. You got Jerry Jones who's mouthing off as usual. That is an implosion. It's already happening. So I'm taking the Falcons here. And again, I think I would take the under on that. I don't think it's going to be quite a shootout that people are thinking. Mike's thinking that Dallas bounces back. I could see that. I mean, that's what they do, right? Like, you think they're done and then they just come back and they win 4 in a row. I don't feel it. I think that team's kind of just hurting right now. And Atlanta, on the other hand, playing at home. Although Dallas does play better on the road, I still think they're winless at home, I believe. So kind of interesting situation there. We got so I'm picking the Falcons, and then fantasy wise, Darnell Mooney, 5 receivers have scored at least 11 points against the Dallas defense. Mooney's coming off a really good game last week. So Mooney could be a good play for you if you have him in your, you want to have him on your in your lineups. I wouldn't blame you. Next game on the docket, we got a divisional game. The Dolphins are 6-point underdogs taking on the Bills. Again, divisional games, important to note that. 49.5 is the over under. So it's kind of a interesting situation there. Why 6 points? Usually it's a 3.4 point swing for a division game. Sleevey G checking in says Dallas sucks. Absolutely. My son's first phrase, man. That's it. So it's weird. I fought with this one. I think on the show on Friday, I picked the Dolphins. I'm actually going to go to Bills after reconsidering it. I looked at the numbers. Tua does not play well against the Bills in his history, in his past. So to me, especially the second game back after coming back from concussion, I could see them having a down game. However, I do like Raheem Mostert in this game. Achane should have a nice game as well for the Bills, but obviously I'm trying not to key on the star players. You're starting them. But guys like, secondary players and so on, Raheem Mostert fits in that mold. And I think he can hit pay dirt a few times, possibly against the Bills if they get down and close. Mostert had 2 touchdowns last week. He only had a couple carries, but 2 touchdowns. So, he is a boom or bust type of player, though, unfortunately. But when he pays off in a big way. Also in this game, I'm sitting Amari Cooper, Kayvon Coleman, and Shakir have gotten more looks and more playing time than Amari Cooper has. It just seems like he's not getting it right now. With that being said, he'll probably have a monster game today. But no, I'm going to sit Amari Cooper until he can start showing that he's a part of this offense on a more consistent basis. Next game we got is the Vegas Raiders taking on the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincy. Of course, Cincy getting, the butts still might be a little red after the Eagles took care of him last week. But 7-point favorites, 45.5 over. I actually do like the Bengals. I think the Raiders are another team that's kind of starting to implode a little bit. After trading Devontae Adams, you're starting to they don't really have an identity. It's Bowers or bust there right now. They can't run the ball. T. Higgins is out. Yeah, I knew that. I don't think it matters. I just think that in this case, the Bengals should have enough of success offensively against this team. The Bengals offense is still pretty good. Chase Brown is a guy I'm looking at. Running backs have averaged 13.5 points a game against this Vegas defense. So Chase Brown, who was very quiet the last 2 weeks, has a chance to really redeem himself here against a pretty bad Raiders run D. And that to me is a key. If they can run the ball consistently, they're going to win this game, and they should win it by a touchdown. I could see that being a push. I'm not touching that game. I'm staying away from it just because 7 points is a lot. And then next game here, we got the Chargers. They're 1.5 road favorites taking on the Browns. The over-under is 42.5 there. The Chargers have been quietly good. Like it's weird. Their defense is really good. And I know that Jameis Winston had a really good game last week against I forget who they played, honestly. Now I forget. Ravens. They played the Ravens. I'm sorry. He had a really good game last week, and obviously took them to led them to a win. That's their Super Bowl. Let's be honest, okay? It's the first time getting in there. The team forgets what he looks like. The offense looks different with a new quarterback. All that stuff. Now they have tape on it, and the Chargers' passing defense, especially, is much better than the Ravens' pass defense. I think they're gonna have a tough time, and with that, I'm sitting Jerry Jeudy against that secondary. But I am considering starting Cedric Tillman. Tillman has had 2 really good games now since they've traded Amari Cooper away. He looks like he could be the new number 1 there in Cleveland. Obviously, Njoku is always an option. He's one of the favorite targets right now in the middle of the field. So, but I'm sitting Jeudy. And then on the other side, though, I'm starting McConkey. McConkey's really established himself as a good number 1 target for the Chargers, for Herbert. Cleveland's defense is kind of beat up right now. So, Ryan, there's his line. Winston, 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, 5 picks. Sounds about right. All right. So, Herbert's another guy has been kind of quiet this year. A lot of people are down on him. I'm not exactly high on him either, but I think this is a good matchup for them. So I'm taking the Chargers in that one. Next game here, we got New England visiting the Tennessee Titans. And believe it or not, probably for the first time this year, the Titans are 3-point favorites. Titans are favorites over the Patriots, 38.5 over under. And I don't. This one was a tough one to really pick, but I'm going to go to Titans. I think because they're home, because there's no Drake May, and with that, for the tight end leagues, Hunter Henry's been a pretty nice option for a lot of people. I'm not starting Hunter Henry this week with Drake May out. Brissett has been pretty awful, and that's why they went to May. Well, Levis isn't starting right now, but he likes the Patriots. Levis, I don't believe Levis is starting yet. He's been out for the last couple of games. So, and the Titans are bad. They're a horrible team. But so are the Patriots. Patriots, the strength of the defense was the defense, or the strength of the team was their defense, and their defense isn't good this year. So I think they could be had, and because of that, someone I am looking at also is Tony Pollard. Pollard's been a little inconsistent as of late, but Pollard's probably the one option that they have. If they can control the ground game, they should be able to win that game. The Patriots offense isn't going to do much. This one, This next one, NFC East matchup. Commanders taking on the Giants in New York. Commanders are 4-point favorites. 44.5 over under. I got a grin on my face because if this happens, it's gonna be crazy. But I'm feeling like the Giants are going to win. Yeah, I'm something about it. I talked about it on Friday. It just has that vibe, right? The Commanders come out, have a big win, a crazy win against the Chicago Bears last week. No one saw, the way that ended, it thought it was over. The Giants have been a pretty bad team. Yeah, I'm going outright. 4-point favorites, like I said, are the Commanders. It's just, I don't know. There's something weird about this game. NFC East game, they're always kind of quirky. These teams, this always happens, right? There's always a game like that in a division game where there's no reason for that team to win. I'm getting that vibe. I just feel like the Giants are going to win this game. I think Neighbors may have a big day. Another guy I think is going to have a big day. I'm getting a Chubby over the Giants. I'm getting a giant Chubby. How's that? Can't pick them with you. I can't, but I can totally see it happen. And I can understand. I'm not putting money on it. It's just one of those gut feelings. I don't know. But another guy I do like in this game is Brian Robinson. He had over 100 yards last time he played the Giants. The Giants' run defense is awful. I think there's only been one game this year where a running back either hasn't scored a touchdown or hasn't scored double-digit fantasy points. Every other game it's happened. So Brian Robinson, should have a pretty decent game against the Giants. So I would definitely go there. I know that makes Ryan happy. And that's, Robinson has been a little banged up the last few weeks. So this could be a good recovery game for him. The Bears and the Cardinals going at it. Bears are underdogs going into Arizona, and I like it. I'm actually going to take Arizona here. I think this is another one I kind of switched up since Friday. I do like DeAndre Swift going against that Arizona defense. Obviously, if you have him, you're probably starting him at this point anyway. And then another guy who you should be starting is Trey McBride. Even in non-tight end leagues, Trey McBride should be in your starting lineup because he's become one of Kyler Murray's favorite targets right now. So those are the two guys I'm looking at fantasy-wise. But, yeah, as far as the game goes, Arizona is they're kind of like a sneaky team. They had no business winning last week. They came back on a last-second field goal, which was crazy. So I'm definitely going. I'm definitely going Arizona here. And to cover the 1.5, yeah, they'll cover the 1.5. I think. What's up, JP? So that brings us to, and I don't have the graphic here because I'm on a different feed today. That brings us to the Selby Sizzlers, where I give you 3 games that I am putting money on, that I am touching, and we'll see how this goes here. But the team I'm wearing right now is one of my Selby Sizzlers. Jaguars go to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. The Eagles are 7 now. It's 7.5 point. I think it was 7. It went up a little bit. Jay, blah blah blah. I'm hungry. Give me those Sizzlers. Hear that sausage and bacon cooking. Served on a roll for you. Here we go. Eagles 7.5 point favorites. I like that. But what I like even more is the over. 46 is the over under. I'm taking the over on this one. I think the Eagles have a potential of scoring 40 points by themselves. I don't think they will. I think I picked around 37. Jaguars score 10, you hit the over. So after the way the Eagles looked against Cincinnati, the Jaguars defense is probably worse than Cincinnati. Actually, they are worse than Cincinnati, rankings wise, especially. Christian Kirk's out. Brian Thomas Jr. is slated. It seems like he's going to play in this game. But to me, like that, getting a guy who's 70%, and he's a good receiver and everything, but he's, say he's 70%. And what they did against Jamar Chase, what they've done against top receivers, Neighbors the week before, they're shutting these guys down. Jay said on that note, 300 yards and 4 touchdowns for Trevor Lawrence. Blossom. No, I don't see it. I mean, and Mike said Sizzlers either on a croissant or a bagel. Get out of here with that roll. You're right. Yeah, you got to do a croissant, I think. Got to do the croissant. It's a nice soft croissant. Croissant. Oh. So yeah, I'm doing the Eagles over under at 46. That's my sizzler. So usually I do the point spread. Here I'm doing the over under. As far as fantasies, like fantasy implications, Evan Ingram could be a nice play. I'm not starting him in one league. I have other options that I prefer, only because of the fact that the outside options are probably going to be taken away. Even if Thomas plays, the focus is going to be on the inside because of the situation going on. Like last week, they struggled against Mike Gesicki. I think they're going to focus in on that this week. They know that Ingram's he is a bigger weapon than Gesicki is. I think they're going to try to take him out of the game. Travis Etienne's going to be playing in this game. Tank Bigsby's going to be playing. So the running backs are back to full strength, so to speak. I'm not worried about the running game either. I mean, based on what the Eagles have done against the run lately, too. So, what? Bagel all day with ketchup. All right, so, okay, I had no problem with a bagel. That's where I had the problem with. Ketchup. Get out of here with that ketchup. Weirdos. Hot sauce on eggs or not? You guys do hot sauce on the eggs? All right, second Selby Sizzler. Talking more about breakfast than football today. The Saints and the Panthers in Carolina. The Saints are 7-point favorites, 43.5 over under. I like the Saints. I like the Saints to cover this one. I think it's an easy cover. The Saints haven't exactly looked like a great team right now, but I think they're due to have a decent game here. I think Derek Carr throws a couple touchdowns. I like Chris Olave this week, believe it or not. Saints by 70, says Ryan. Dude, Bryce Young is just awful. I trash him every week he's in there. Andy Dalton's hurt. Okay, so once Andy Dalton comes back, maybe things change a little bit. They're terrible. I think they average like 9 points a game with Bryce Young in the game. That's ridiculous. So I like the Saints to cover that one. But I do like Chuba Hubbard as well, fantasy-wise. So Chuba. The Saints have averaged are allowing the 7th most yards against fantasy running backs right now. 5 running backs have scored at least 17 points this year against them. So Chuba Hubbard, who's been another one who's inconsistent, but I think he has a day today. But the Saints are just going to overpower him. Who between Olave, Downs, and Taylor? I'm picking Downs and Taylor. I'm assuming you mean Jonathan Taylor. I'm going to go Downs and Taylor. Yeah. I like Olave though, but Downs is one of my plays as well today. Not Jonathan, the Giants. Oh, no. Oh, Tyrese Taylor, whatever his name is. I'm going to go Olave and Downs then. Personally, I'm really down on that dude Taylor. I don't know. He's had 2 good weeks and then has done nothing since. And again, it's one of those situations that he due, sure, but until he can prove that he can go for it, I would do that. Pittman or Cade Otton. So I kind of like, man, that's a tough one. I kind of like Pittman there. I know Otton had a big week last week, obviously, but I'll get to it in a little bit. Minnesota's defense is very, very suspect. I like that matchup better than what Otton's going against the Kansas City. So that's kind of where I'm at there. I know Otton had a big week, but look at that matchup. I don't love that for him, but we'll see. He's got Baker Mayfield's got to throw somebody. All right, so we'll get to that in a few. I like that question though. That's a good one. And the last Selby Sizzler, the Broncos taking on the Baltimore Ravens. That is a 9.5 point spread in the Ravens' favor. 46.5 over under. I like the Broncos to cover. It's too many points, and the Broncos' defense is pretty good, and I think they're going to be able to stick in this game because of that. I don't. Derrick Henry's a monster. We all know that, but the Broncos outside, their secondary can shut down Baltimore's receivers. Because of that, I'm a little worried about Zay Flowers this week. It's a worrisome play for me. I don't think Zay Flowers is going to have a monster game at all. I think especially if he's lined up against Patrick Surtain. He's going to have a very modest game at best. I'm also sitting Deontay Johnson. This is his first game with Baltimore. These teams, these players, when they join new teams, they like to get them involved. We saw it with Devontae Adams, the big, hurrah when he joined the Jets. He did, 40 yards, something like that. Deontay Johnson could probably get something like that, 40, 50 yards. I don't expect much from him. I know people are very high on him because he's joining Baltimore in that offense, and it's a nice change of scenery for him. But I'm still sitting Deontay Johnson. And then I'm also sitting, Brian's not going to like this one, Javonte Williams against that Baltimore defense. He only had 44 yards last week against a very bad team, run defense. And now you're taking on the Baltimore run defense. Good luck. I would sit Javonte Williams if you have a better option. I don't know what else you have, Ryan. Mike said, I just don't know what to make of Baltimore. Every time I think they're toast, they run off a few. When I think they're back, they lose. Yeah, and then I don't think they're going to lose today. I just think that this is a game where the Broncos just hang around. 9.5 is a lot, and Bo Nix has been playing decent this year. He's done a nice job as a rookie for that team. I think they can hang around there. So those are your sizzlers. Just to recap, the Eagles game, the over. The Saints to cover 7 and the Broncos to cover the 9.5. All right, so those are your 3 Selby sizzlers. You're starting Robinson over them. Yeah, I would have to do that, I think. Good call. All right, so to wrap up the rest of the games here, we got a couple left here. The Detroit Lions are 2.5-point road favorites in Lambeau. I like Detroit to win this game here by at least a field goal, so I'm taking the Lions there. Jordan Love's back. He's apparently going to play. I'm kind of surprised. He had a groin issue last week. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. I've had that before. It sucks. It takes longer than a week to heal. At least the one I had took about 2 or 3 weeks to heal. So as a quarterback going back and playing and all, I'm a little worried about that. Robinson's out. Whoa. Brian Robinson Jr. is out in that game? Oh, man. Well, you got to make that choice. Where's Gary? Getting a Happy Meal? If you listened to the show last Friday, you know what we're talking about. This one's a family show. I can't bring that topic up. So I think it's time to trust Sam Laporta again. With Jameson Williams serving his second of 2 games on suspension, Laporta was really a big target last week. It's St. Brown and then Laporta, or Gibbs, I guess, too, is included in that receiving target share. But I definitely like Laporta to do something today as well. Bucky Irvin's another one, though, Ryan. I don't like him today, but you're almost out of options there. Bucky Irvin worries me a little bit against that defense, but you probably have to start him now at this point with Robinson out. That sucks. All right, so we got the Rams 1.5 point favorites on the road, over under 48. So a lot of road favorites today. That's a little shocking. You don't normally see that too much. Seattle is at home. Oh, and Rashid Jones is playing too. I don't know what your other option is, though. That's the problem. I mean, between Irving and who we're talking about, Javonte Williams, I think you got to go. You might have to go Irvin. I don't know. It's tough. I like the Rams here to cover the 1.5. I know I keep saying Rashid Jones. Rashid White, for those who are joking. That's another joke inside the Corner Pub podcast. So the Rams are almost back to full strength here. They got, Nakua, who was questionable. I think he's going to play today. Cooper Kupp's back. Stafford's probably a really good play for those who have him. He wasn't on my list, but I'm putting him on my list right now as I'm saying it. I just like the Rams today. And Kenneth Walker, however, for Seattle could have a big day against that Rams defense. So if you have Kenneth Walker, this could be a good week to start him. That could be a shootout, that game. And there's some weird stuff going on with Seattle. DK Metcalf is arguing with people. It's a weird situation there. Geno Smith doesn't have the magic that he had last year, which a lot of people kind of expected. So Yeah, that Jones too, Mark. So, Colts Sunday Night Football. By the way, this was the game that the Eagles were flexed out of. For this game, the Colts and the Vikings. Come on, like, why were the Eagles flexed out of this? And I'm okay with it because I don't mind not having to stay up till 11:30 at night. But yeah, I see Mike. Hard to pick against Seattle at home. I get you, but it's not like it's the Giants or the Jets having to travel from the East Coast to the West Coast to play Seattle. The Rams aren't too far away. That's a short plane trip, so it's that part of it. I'm not the same time zone, all that stuff. So that whole factor, the 12th man thing, kind of goes down. And to me, I don't know. I just don't think Seattle's looked all that great this year. But yes. Anyway, Colts, Vikings. I'm taking the Colts to cover 5.5. Vikings are favored by 5.5. The over under is 46.5. Yeah, I think the Colts cover. I think with Joe Flacco in there, they've just looked a lot better. Amari Cooper is out. Even more of a reason to not start him. Wow. Yeah, so that means Coleman and Shakir are probably good, really, really good plays for you if you have them. One of them. Yeah, I would definitely throw those guys in without a doubt. Even more so. I was doing that anyway, and I was sitting Cooper. But here's your Downs question, Mike. Downs should have a pretty decent day against a very, very bad Vikings secondary. They actually allow the most points in fantasy to wide receivers. I was shocked to see that. But that's the case. And so Downs, who, was a boomer and bust player last week, he caught a kind of a wide open pass and took it for 60-something yards. But yeah, I'm going to say that the Colts can stick around here. The Vikings are starting to show the chinks in the armor the last few weeks. They've kind of struggled the last couple games here. They got beat up by the Rams last week on Thursday Night Football, the week before they lost. So I don't know if they'll lose this game, but I think the Colts are going to do enough to hang around there, especially for 5.5. I actually considered putting that in my Selby Sizzler, but brewed against it. And that leads up to the last game of the docket here. We got Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers are road underdogs taking on the Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by 9.5 points. Over under is 45.5. I am going to go with the Buccaneers to cover that 9.5. I think the Chiefs win this game, especially in Kansas City. Maybe I'm giving a little too much credit to Tampa Bay with based on the fact that Otten had a great game and Mayfield can still sling the ball a little bit. The Chiefs defense is pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs do win this game by double digits, honestly, but the 9.5, it's just that's Vegas, and they just know what they're doing there. And Jay's saying Tampa as well. And then Mike says, yeah, gonna give Downs another shot, but he's on a short leash with Taylor, especially Pacheco when he comes back. Yeah, it seems like Pacheco is starting to practice a little bit. He doesn't have the 3-day practice window hasn't opened, but he's practicing on his own right now. So it's kind of interesting to see when he's going to be coming back. I hope he comes back soon, at least within the next few weeks here. So especially when the bye weeks start, the bye weeks are still continuing here. So and there's late buys this year. It goes to week 14. So hopefully he can come back before those buys start hurting your lineups. But yeah, Buccaneers, too many points. And then fantasy wise, DeAndre Hopkins. I know he did not have a great week last week in his debut. I would not be against starting him this week. Tampa Bay's defense is not very good against wide receivers. And on that note, Xavier Worthy is another guy who could be getting a shot. Another guy worthy of getting a shot. So Xavier Worthy is another play that another guy that I would look at there. So just to recap real quick. I don't normally do the recap thing, but here are the teams that I'm picking. I'm picking the Falcons over the Cowboys, Bills over the Dolphins, and this is the cover, by the way, as well. The Bengals to cover against the Raiders, the Chargers to cover against the Browns, Titans to cover against the Patriots, the Giants to cover against the Commanders as an underdog. And actually, that's the first underdog that I'm taking. That's crazy. Arizona to cover against the Bears, who are favorites as well. The Eagles over the Jaguars, the 46 points. The Saints to cover against the Panthers, 7 points. Broncos as underdogs against the Ravens, 9.5. The Lions over the Bears to cover. Man, this is crazy. I don't think I've ever taken this many favorites. The Rams to cover against the Seattle Seahawks. Colts as underdogs over the Vikings. And then the Buccaneers as underdogs with the Chiefs. So the Bears can smell the menstruation. Yes, they can. They sure can. Well, guys, this was that's no boner coverage. No boner coverage on the Sunday show, dude. I got things to do. I got preparations to do. Pregame shows to watch. No, I'm kidding. All right. I got best to put in, though. As always, the show is brought to you by No One Likes This, We Do Care. My book came out October 4th. Oh, my God. It's almost a month already. Been out almost a month. It's the perfect holiday gift. Go on Amazon. Go get it. If you live local, if you live in the Newtown area or near Newtown, the Newtown Bookshop is selling a few copies of it. Dynasty Sports at Oxford Valley Mall also has a few copies of it. So if you're in the area, you want to check it out physically, go get it. If not, Amazon will have it to you the next day. So go check it out. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. Needs more pictures. Yeah, next time. I'll get some next time. And also, I guess another shameless plug. Less than a week. Next Saturday, Doylestown Public Library from 10:30 to 1 is a author book fair. I will be there with books for sale and also signing books for those who care to have their book signed by me. So thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you guys on Friday night with Corner Pub Sports. Again, this is brought to you by Heat Ratio Sports and Corner Pub Sports. Hit up Win Daily Sports. Use promo code HEAT for your Sunday discount, and I will see you guys next week.